Viewer discretion is advised.
German immigrant Karl Tanzler claimed that when he was a child, his late ancestor, Countess Anna Constantia von Cosel, appeared to him in a vision. In this vision, she revealed to him the face of his one true love, a memory that he would carry into his adult life. Tanzler would not let anything stand in the way of true love, and as his obsessions proved, this included death itself. Around 1920, Karl Tanzler married Doris Schaefer and was the father of 2 children, but he never lost faith that his true soulmate would one day be discovered. In 1927, he abandoned his family in Zephyrhills, Florida, taking a job as a radiologist at the U.S. Marine Hospital in Key West, adopting the name Karl von Cosel. Then in April of 1930, he met a patient named Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos, a Cuban-American woman who was dying of tuberculosis. Tanzler recognized her dark hair and facial features as matching those of his earlier visions, and although he was still married, he instantly became infatuated with Elena Hoyos. As tuberculosis was typically a fatal disease and a vaccine had yet to be discovered at the time, Tanzler took it upon himself to care for the young woman, trying everything in his power to cure her. He would break hospital protocol, administering homemade tonics and medicines, even using electrical equipment of his own devising. Tanzler presented himself to her family as Count von Cosel and convinced them with repeated house calls that his concoctions would work to treat her condition. He showered Hoyos with lavish gifts and jewelry, professing his love to the ill woman. Although she was flattered, she had no romantic interests in Tanzler, only being concerned with her health. Then, in October of 1931, at 21 years of age, Hoyos succumbed to the disease and died in her parents' home. Tanzler then convinced her family to let him pay for her funeral costs, having her buried in an opulent above-ground mausoleum that he had built for her in the Key West Cemetery. He would visit her monument every night, with the family only seeing him as a dedicated physician who was heartbroken by his inability to save his patient. What they didn't know was that he had the only key to the mausoleum, and would enter under the cover of darkness to spend more time with his beloved. Then, after 2 years of dedicated visits, they abruptly stopped. Some people believe that he had healed from his heartbreak and had moved on, which was far from the truth. Tanzler's obsession took a macabre turn when he began to hear the voice of his dearly departed, calling to him from the grave and pleading with him to set her free. He claimed that her spirit appeared to him outside of her tomb, and he would serenade her with her favorite song. Then one night in 1933, he removed her body from the mausoleum, loaded it into a child's red wagon, and dragged it back to his makeshift laboratory built inside of an old airplane. It was from here that he decided to resurrect his new bride. He was dedicated to preserving her body, using coat hangers and piano wire to fit her skeleton back together, stuffing her body with rags to maintain its shape. He also replaced her decomposing eyes with glass eyes, then patched her rotting skin with silk, mortician's wax, and plaster. He would use copious amounts of perfume, disinfectants, and preserving agents to mask the odor and slow her decomposition. He was also able to fashion a wig for Hoyos' corpse, made from her own hair, which had been collected by her mother and gifted to Tanzler at her death. Tanzler then dressed the body in her old clothing with stockings, jewelry, and gloves. Rumors spread around town as he was spotted buying women's clothes and perfumes, as well as being seen dancing with someone behind the closed curtains inside his home. The strangest of these rumors was that he was sleeping with the corpse of his lost love, a story that eventually reached Hoyos' family. Concerned, her sister entered Tanzler's home and, to her horror, discovered the preserved body of her sibling. She fled the home and rushed to contact the authorities. Tanzler was arrested and charged with the desecration of the grave site in October of 1940. He was examined by a psychiatrist and deemed mentally competent to stand trial. He was then prosecuted for wantonly and maliciously destroying a grave and removing a body without authorization. In a bizarre twist, the public was somewhat sympathetic to Tanzler's acts, feeling sorry for the hopeless romantic. As his crimes had passed the statute of limitations, the case was dismissed. There was no conclusive evidence that Carl had intimate relations with the corpse originally, although later autopsy reports had shown that Tanzler had made certain modifications to the vaginal area, making it possible, if not likely, that he did commit acts of necrophilia. After the trial, he even asked if Elena's body could be returned to him, though his request was denied by authorities and by the Hoyos family. The bizarre story of the corpse bride became a popular legend among the residents of Key West, and due to public request, the body was briefly kept on display at the Dean Lopez funeral home. Nearly 7,000 locals came to view the wax-like figure before it was returned to a proper resting place. She was buried in an unmarked grave in the Key West Cemetery in a secret location to prevent any further tampering. Carl Tanzler returned to Zephyr Hills and even published an autobiography, yet his obsession for Hoyos never died. He later shared that he even drafted plans to build a spaceship in order to fly Hoyos into the stratosphere, believing that the radiation from outer space would penetrate her tissues and revivify her. He also created a forensic death mask of Hoyos as the basis for a life-size dummy, which he then kept in his bed until his death in 1952 at the age of 75. Some accounts of Tanzler's death claim he wasn't discovered for 3 weeks after his passing, and that his body was found resting in the arms of his doll bride.
For more videos about the paranormal and the unexplained, please like and subscribe to the Oddities Observed channel.